My girlfriend told me she was pregnant with her ex's baby and wanted me to raise it quietly, so I exposed the affair to his wife, blew up both of their lives, walked away from everything, and 3 months later they're alone regretting everything. I'm 40 years old, and until last Tuesday, I honestly thought I had my life figured out. Chloe and I had been together for 3 years. We weren't married, but we lived together in a nice two-bedroom apartment downtown, split the bills evenly, and constantly talked about the future we thought we were building together. I genuinely believed our relationship was solid. Last Tuesday evening, I came home from the gym around 7 o'clock and immediately felt that something was wrong. Chloe was sitting silently on the couch with her phone in her lap, staring at the blank television screen. The apartment felt strangely cold despite the heater running. The second I looked at her, I knew bad news was coming. After a long silence, she admitted that she was pregnant. For a brief moment, before she said anything else, I actually felt a rush of emotions that almost resembled excitement. Then she calmly explained that the baby wasn't mine. Everything around me seemed to go silent. I could hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen and traffic outside, but mentally it felt like my brain had stopped working. She explained that the father was Marcus, her ex-boyfriend from college, the same man she had repeatedly told me not to worry about after reconnecting with him online last year. Suddenly, every memory involving him came rushing back into my head. The harmless coffee meetups, the casual mentions of him in conversation, and the way she always dismissed my concerns about their friendship. What disturbed me most wasn't just the cheating. It was how emotionless she seemed while admitting it. She didn't look guilty or devastated. Mostly, she just looked tired, like confessing was another unpleasant task she needed to get through. She admitted the affair had happened 2 months earlier and revealed that Jacob still didn't know about the pregnancy because he was married now. Apparently, she had no intention of telling him because she didn't want to destroy his life. Instead, she expected me to quietly accept everything and somehow continue building a future with her anyway. The entire conversation felt surreal. She genuinely seemed to believe we could work through it peacefully and continue living together as though she hadn't detonated our relationship in a single sentence. Hearing her talk about wanting to keep things peaceful after confessing she was carrying another man's child honestly made me laugh because my brain couldn't process the absurdity of it. I remember sitting there staring at her while trying to understand how my entire life had apparently fallen apart without me noticing. Part of me wanted to scream. Part of me wanted to break something. But more than anything, I just felt numb. Eventually, I walked into the bedroom, shut the door, and sat on the edge of the bed with my hands shaking. That was the moment I realized I wasn't going to fight for the relationship. I wasn't going to beg her to choose me or waste my energy trying to repair something she had already destroyed. Instead, I pulled out my phone and started making a list of everything I needed to do next. That night, I slept on the couch while Chloe went to bed like everything was normal. I stayed awake until almost 2 in the morning researching apartment lease policies and scrolling through Marcus's social media. He was 39, married for 6 years to a woman named Flora, and worked in finance. His wife was a pediatric nurse who volunteered at animal shelters during her free time. Every picture of her made me feel worse because she looked genuinely kind and completely unaware that her husband had just destroyed 2 relationships at once. Update. Wednesday morning, I stopped feeling sorry for myself and started handling things. At exactly 8 a.m., I called our landlord. Our lease had an early termination clause that allowed either tenant to leave with 60 days' notice and a penalty fee equal to 2 months' rent. I told him I'd pay it myself. He sounded surprised but didn't ask questions. I made it clear that only my name would be removed from the lease. Chloe could decide whether she wanted to stay there alone and cover the rent herself or move out. Honestly, I didn't care anymore. After that, I drove straight to the bank and opened a new checking account. Chloe and I had a shared savings account we'd been building for vacation to Japan. There was about $8,400 in it, split evenly between us. I transferred my half, $4,200, into the new account without hesitation. At that point, I wasn't thinking emotionally anymore. I was thinking practically. Around 10 o'clock, I forwarded Chloe's pregnancy confession text message to myself so I'd have a clean screenshot saved independently. Then, I started looking up Jacob online. Public records are surprisingly easy to find when you know someone's full name and city. Within 20 minutes, I had his home address. That's when I decided I wasn't going to let Chloe quietly bury the situation while expecting me to absorb all the damage alone. I ordered one of those expensive gift baskets online with chocolates, sparkling cider, snacks, and a tiny teddy bear. The kind people send for baby announcements. I paid extra, for same-day delivery. In the gift message section, I wrote, "Congratulations. You're going to be a dad. Chloe is expecting. We should talk. A concerned friend." Then I entered Marcus's home address and confirmed the order. After that, I forwarded Chloe's confession directly to Jacob through Facebook Messenger. I didn't add threats or commentary. I simply sent the screenshot and blocked Chloe's number on my phone immediately afterward. The rest of the afternoon, I packed my essentials, clothes, laptop, passport, documents, anything I actually cared about. I called my friend Seth and asked if I could stay with him for a few weeks. He agreed instantly. Around 3 p.m., my phone rang from an unknown number. The second I answered, I heard a woman's voice trembling with anger and panic asking if I was the person who sent the gift basket to the Riverside Drive address. My stomach dropped because I already knew who it was. It was Flora Den, Marcus's wife. She demanded to know what was going on, and despite everything, I actually felt guilty hearing how terrified she sounded. I introduced myself and explained that I had been dating Chloe for 3 years and that she had admitted the night before that she was pregnant with her husband's child. There was a long silence before she quietly accused me of lying. Honestly, I wished I was. I explained everything carefully, including the timeline and the fact that Chloe didn't want Jacob to know because he was married. Flora asked for proof, so I sent her the screenshot along with Chloe's number and our address. Before hanging up, I apologized one last time because despite everything, she deserved the truth. Then I sat there staring at my phone for a long moment before quietly going back to packing my life into boxes. Update. By Thursday morning, everything had exploded. Chloe started calling me around 11 p.m. Wednesday night and didn't stop. By the next afternoon, she had called 47 times. There were voicemails too, some crying, some screaming, some begging me to answer. I deleted every single one without listening past the first few seconds. I was done letting her pull me back into the chaos. Seth's apartment wasn't anything special, but it felt peaceful. He worked from home, so he was there when I showed up Wednesday night carrying 2 suitcases and a cardboard box full of whatever pieces of my life I could fit into it. The second he opened the door, he told me I looked like hell. Honestly, he was right. I told him I felt worse than I looked. To his credit, he didn't ask 100 questions. He just showed me the guest room and handed me a beer. Thursday afternoon, Chloe somehow figured out where I was staying. I still don't know who told her. Around lunchtime, the intercom started buzzing nonstop. Then I heard her voice downstairs begging me to come talk to her. She kept saying I couldn't just disappear and do this to her. Seth looked at me waiting for an answer, but I just shook my head. He picked up the intercom and calmly told her I wasn't interested in seeing her and that if she didn't leave, he'd call the police. She buzzed 2 more times before finally leaving. Around 4 that afternoon, I got a Facebook message request from Flora Den. She told me she had confronted Jacob and that he admitted everything almost immediately. According to him, it was supposedly one drunken mistake. Flora said she didn't believe him and that she was filing for divorce. Reading that made everything feel even heavier. 2 relationships destroyed because 2 selfish people thought they could hide what they'd done forever. Flora thanked me for telling her, although she admitted she wasn't sure whether she should thank me or hate me for being the one who exposed it. I told her I was sorry for both of us and offered to provide screenshots or evidence if she needed anything during the divorce. Later that evening, I got an email from Chloe's mother. Apparently, Chloe had called her crying and claiming I abandoned her during her pregnancy. Her mother called me cruel, cowardly, and heartless for walking away after one mistake. I simply replied with a screenshot of Chloe admitting the baby wasn't mine. She never emailed me back after that. Update. Friday morning, I called out of work and took a personal day. I couldn't handle pretending everything was normal while my life was actively collapsing. Word had already started spreading through our friend group anyway. One of our mutual friends texted me that morning asking what happened between Chloe and me. I ignored it. I didn't have the energy to explain the situation while people traded gossip behind my back. Instead, I spent the morning apartment hunting. I drove around looking at small studio apartments I could actually afford on my own. Around 2 in the afternoon, I found one about 20 minutes from my job that was available starting November 1st. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean, quiet, and most importantly, it felt like a fresh start. I put down the deposit immediately. Not long after that, my phone rang. Seeing Jacob Den's name on the screen, honestly, made my stomach tighten. I almost ignored it, but curiosity got the better of me. The second he started talking, I could hear the anger in his voice. Not guilt. Not regret. Anger. He accused me of destroying his marriage and said I had no right to interfere in what happened between him and Chloe. Hearing that almost made me laugh. This man slept with my girlfriend, got her pregnant, lied to his wife, and somehow still viewed himself as the victim. He kept insisting it was one mistake and claimed Flora never would have found out if I had stayed out of it. Apparently his plan was to let me unknowingly raise his child while he continued pretending nothing happened. That part disgusted me more than anything else. I reminded him that Chloe had spent months lying to me while cheating with him and that both of them created this mess themselves. There was a long silence before he admitted Flora was taking everything in the divorce, the house, savings, everything. Honestly, I didn't feel bad for him. Flora deserved better. Eventually, he called me a piece of shit before hanging up. The weirdest part was how calm I felt afterward. Maybe I should have felt guilty for exposing everything, but I didn't. Jacob destroyed his own marriage the second he decided to sleep with someone else's girlfriend. Then Saturday, Chloe texted me from a different number after I had already blocked her. She begged me to talk to her and admitted she hurt me, but then immediately blamed me for destroying multiple lives by exposing the affair. According to her, Jacob was falling apart and his family refused to speak to him anymore. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. I told her she ruined her own life when she cheated, ruined Marcus's life when she slept with a married man, and tried ruining mine by expecting me to raise another man's child while living a lie. All I did was make sure the truth came out. Then I blocked that number too. Update. 2 weeks later, I was finally settled into my new studio apartment. It was small, mostly empty, and honestly kind of depressing at first, but it was peaceful. No shared furniture. No framed photos of Chloe and me pretending to be happy. No memories waiting around every corner to punch me in the chest. For the first time since everything happened, I could sit alone in silence without feeling trapped inside the wreckage of my old life. Seth helped me move the last of my things out of storage one weekend. Afterward, we ordered pizza, watched basketball, and drank cheap beer like we used to years ago. Nothing dramatic. Nothing emotional. Just normal life for few hours. Honestly, that helped more than anything else had. A few days later, Flora Den messaged me again. She told me the divorce was moving forward and that Jacob was trying to fight it, but her lawyer believed they already had enough evidence to destroy him financially. Then she admitted she had started digging deeper after I contacted her and discovered the affair had been going on much longer than Jacob claimed. Apparently, he and Chloe had been messaging for months before they ever hooked up. Flora found deleted texts, hotel receipts, hidden charges on bank statements, and proof that the affair wasn't some one-time drunken mistake, like Jacob tried to claim. Reading that honestly made me feel sick. Chloe hadn't just cheated once. She had been building an entire second relationship behind my back while pretending everything between us was perfectly normal. Flora eventually asked how I was doing, and for the first time I realized I actually felt a little lighter. Still angry sometimes, but mostly just exhausted from carrying all of it around mentally. Then, about a month after everything exploded, I ran into our mutual friend Roma at a coffee shop. She looked uncomfortable the second she saw me and admitted she had heard Chloe's version of the story. Apparently, Chloe had been telling people I overreacted to one mistake and became emotionally abusive and controlling after learning about the pregnancy. Then Roma told me something even worse. Chloe was now claiming Jacob had forced himself on her and that the affair wasn't consensual. But according to Roma, multiple people had already seen the flirtatious messages. Hearing that made me feel genuinely disgusted. By that point, a lot of people had stopped talking to her entirely. Chloe had burned every bridge around her trying to escape the consequences of her own choices. Final update. 3 months have passed now, and honestly, my life barely resembles what it was back then. Chloe had the baby, a boy, and Marcus's family demanded a DNA test almost immediately. The results confirmed what everyone already knew. Jacob was the father. He's paying child support now, but from what I've heard, he wants nothing to do with the child beyond the legal obligation. His divorce from Flora finalized last month, and she moved out of state to live closer to her sister. Out of everyone involved in this mess, I genuinely hope she finds peace. Chloe tried reaching out one final time, through a mutual friend. Apparently, she wanted closure and hoped we could talk. I said no immediately. There's nothing left to discuss. She made her choices and I made mine. Some doors don't reopen once they close. Surprisingly, life moved on faster than I expected it to. I've started seeing someone new. Nothing serious yet, but it feels good to be around someone who actually respects me. Her name is Susie, and she teaches high school English. We met in a bookstore while reaching for the same novel at the exact same time. It sounds fake, but that's genuinely how it happened. My apartment finally feels like home too. I painted the walls, bought real furniture, filled the place with plants, and adopted a cat named Mary who follows me everywhere. Life feels quiet now. Stable. Simple in the best way possible. Sometimes I still think about Chloe and Jacob and wonder if they regret what they did. But honestly, those thoughts don't last very long anymore. Their choices led them exactly where they are, and mine led me here. I'm not bitter anymore. I'm just free. A lot of people asked why I sent the gift basket instead of simply telling Flora directly. Honestly, I was angry and wanted Jacob to feel the same shock I felt. Was it petty? Probably. Do I regret it? Not really.